Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Convery, where we explore stories, insights, and careers that inspire the next generation. In this special edition of Legacy in Motion Black History Month, we sit down with Dr. Patient Adamu, an influential leader in equity, diversity, and inclusion. With a wealth of experience in social impact, policy, and education, she is dedicated to empowering historically underrepresented communities. Whether you're navigating your first job, looking to making that meaningful career shift, or seeking ways to contribute to a more inclusive society, this conversation is for you. Patience, welcome to Coffee with Convery.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and so honored to be here and share this space with you.
Me too. I'm excited. I'm excited. So to kick it off, why don't we start with a few rapid fire questions just to get us started? So, first of all, what is your superpower?
I think my superpower is being able to connect with people. When people talk to me, they feel seen, they feel understood.
Amazing, amazing. And what was your favorite subject in school?
History. I love to learn about what has happened before, how we're repeating some of the same mistakes, or how we're doing better.
Good, good. Amazing. I love it. I've had a few history buffs on this in this.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a theme there.
We're cool
Um,
people.
yeah, that's it. That's it. We all start somewhere with our first jobs, and I'm always curious because a lot of our listeners are in that space of looking for jobs, going to school, thinking about shifting careers. But we all started somewhere, and it's always interesting to hear where people started from. What was your very first job?
Very first job was as a cashier in the merchandise department at Canada's Wonderland.
Really?
I was 15 years old and I started as a cashier selling candy and stuffed animals
Yeah.
in Canada's Wonderland.
Look
Yeah.
at that. Customer service right there
Yes.
from the beginning.
Customer service at my core. At my core.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
Solid?
Solid?
I don't know. One
Yeah, yeah.
word is really hard, but
It can be
I think
hyphenated.
okay. Ooh. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at these. I think um
I think
I don't
solid's good. You
I
are
think okay,
solid.
so
You're a
let's
solid
stick with solid.
individual. I think all the way around, you're a solid person. I get it. No, it's
I
fine.
I I hope so.
No, that's good. That's good. So maybe let's jump in now. And if you can walk us through a little bit of your career journey, always, I know when we talk to people and talk to different folks about our careers, it's really inspiring to hear where people kind of how they got to where they are. And I was wondering if you could maybe just kind of give us a view into what that has been like. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've had a couple of different careers, I would say, within my full career path. I started, as I just mentioned, kind of doing what I could to get experience. So
Yeah.
I worked at Canada's Wonderland. I did a number of other career, sorry, customer service oriented jobs until I finished university. So even throughout university, I was
Okay.
still doing a lot of customer service jobs just because I couldn't really find other ways to make the money that I needed to make. I needed to buy like books and laptops and help my parents with the bills at home, so I needed to keep that going.
Absolutely.
But when I was in high school, I was fortunate to get into a co-op in high school, which is very unique.
Wow.
And during that co-op, I worked for an organization, a national sports organization called Tennis Canada. And when I worked at Tennis Canada, I started to get into, I did some of their mailroom activities. I did some reception coverage. I did some filing of invoices and stuff like that with accounts payable. And that got me my first, I would say, real job after university, working for the Pan Am Games. I would say that was my first job,
Right.
but it was
Right.
through the relationships that I made in my high school co-op that got me, getting to know the right people at the Pan Am Games, and started working as an external partnerships coordinator, which is essentially government relations, which aligns with what I studied in school. Now, back to what I studied in school, my first degree was I did a double major in communication studies and political science.
Okay.
So I really wanted to, I saw myself as wanting to be a political speechwriter. That's what I thought I was going to do.
Very
So I
cool.
wanted to get close to politics, close to government work. And so that first job at the Pan Am Games was how I kind of did that. I worked in that job for a couple years and decided, it's not the best fit. I was more passionate about community development, taking people who were maybe struggling with cost of living and poverty alleviation, maybe wanted to work with folks who were just not, they didn't have pathways into meaningful, gainful employment. So within the Pan Am Games, I switched from working in government relations and external partnerships into community relations and community engagement.
Gotcha.
That I would say is still the career path that I'm on right now. So I went from the Pan Am Games being in the community relations department. Then I went to U of T, the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. Sorry, the University of Toronto Scarborough campus, and I worked in their community development department. And then I went to the Eglinton Crosstown and now Acon, all kind of keeping in that community development arena. And
Interesting.
within community development, I think, is equity, diversity, and inclusion, where we're looking at indigenous populations and looking at like other like Black people of color, 2S LGBTQ plus communities, and saying these folks do not have the same access to opportunity, the same access to career development opportunities as everyone else. So let's design programs to help give them equal opportunity. And so I would say all of my experience in community development has led me to exactly where I am.
Very cool. And such a impactful experience and what you're doing in the community, but also your passion. I'm curious because how do you feel education and formal education has played a role in some of that success for you?
So, Brian, I don't like to talk as much about formal education because I have a
I,
PhD,
that's
and that
fair.
I
I
think
want to
it
hear
scares
it.
people. My PhD, I think, really helps me because I'm an evidence person. I
Yeah,
love research and to see patterns over time. This goes back to me being a history buff. I would say that my education is supplemental rather than a real driver of what I do today. I'll just for transparency with your
sure.
audience, I'll tell you I have a bachelor's of arts in combined honors in political science and communication studies. I have a master's of public policy and public administration. And then I have a PhD in public policy or in policy studies, focusing on immigration policy and settlement studies. So lots of education, but I would say supplemental to what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 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 really it's really interesting to hear you speak about it that way because we've never really talked that through, but I think it's a valid opportunity to talk about it and I think thank you for sharing. Like that's
Of
great.
course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have a large number of young listeners who are trying to figure out their next steps, whether it's choosing a college major, landing their first job, or maybe even making a career change. What is your thoughts? Because you've made your own path, but forging your own path, what are your thoughts on that, especially if it means going against the grain or taking risk in one's path, as we put it? Any tips or what you might want to share, maybe even for those who haven't found their thing yet?
Yeah, my advice or my thoughts on this are in order to have what most people don't have, you have to do what most people aren't willing to do or
Ah,
haven't done. And so when I took that first job at the Pan Am Games, Brian, I worked for free for 3 months. In no way, shape, or form am I telling people to work for free. I know I was very privileged. I was coming out of university. I saved a lot of money through all of my side customer service jobs. I was in a very privileged position financially, but I know I would not have gotten that opportunity had I not been willing to work for free for 3 months.
Hmm.
So that is me going against the grain. When I told my friends I was working for free, and I was living in Brampton at the time, it took me an hour and a half to get to work every day. Just like if just to give you a sense of what
Yeah,
I had to kind of go through. Everyone was like, "Don't do that. That doesn't make sense. That's not going to serve you." And in the short term, it didn't serve me, but in the long term,
it did.
those relationships are relationships that have helped me get every single job since. Every job since has come from the Pan Am Games.
That is so interesting and such an impactful thought around the whole idea around relationships. Wow.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. Relationships are, you think you don't have a PhD, that's why I'm where I'm at? No. It's purely people who had a couple of interactions with me, liked how I handled it. Maybe I was professional, maybe I was upbeat, maybe something happened. And then when another opportunity comes up, they call me or they message me, and it's just relationships.
There you
Absolutely.
go. There you go. So it is Black History Month,
Yeah.
a time obviously to celebrate achievements, reflect on progress, and it's also acknowledging, the ongoing struggles for equality and justice. And I can't imagine another week to do this podcast. A year ago, it probably would have been a different conversation. But, what does Black History Month mean to you, both personally and professionally, right now with what's going on in the world?
No matter what I say, I feel I'm going to do a disservice in what I'm about to say. Black History Month is a time to reckon with um, all of the struggles
Mm,
that have been required for inclusion. Um, right now, we're seeing people say things like it's a DEI hire or like things like
mm,
that, and I just um that is why we have Black History Month. We have Black History Month to remind people that Black people, African Americans, Afro descendants have always contributed despite being excluded and marginalized from the society and the economy. It's very easy to forget that is um recent history. Not even it wasn't that long
right.
ago. Like it's certainly within certain people's like lifetimes that Black people could not attend the same schools, which is why we have, historically Black colleges and universities could not, drink from the same water fountains, use the same bathrooms, like basic stuff. And it's unfortunate that every time we make advancements towards inclusion, that we get reminded why Black History Month is so important. Um,
Mm,
I uh, so that's what Black History Month means to me professionally.
yep.
Personally, Black History Month is an opportunity for me to really critically interrogate whether I'm doing enough.
Hmm.
Um, I feel
Interesting
black
choice of
black
words, interrogate. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
like
Yeah.
there's so much allyship that we don't take advantage of. Black folks with indigenous folks, black folks with the 2S LGBTQ community. There's so much because once we all rally up, we become much more powerful. So it's a good opportunity for me to think, okay, embedded in Black history, embedded in my history, is a lot of instances of allyship that I think we should hold true to and follow through on.
And true allyship, right?
Yes, yes.
Because what does allyship mean to you? Just because I know sometimes it gets thrown around and people don't necessarily understand it or think through it as they should. But could you mind talking a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I've learned that you cannot call yourself an ally. Someone has to call you an ally. So, in order to be seen as an ally, you need to put your own comfort aside in favor of supporting another one's mission. Mission even goes too far. Today, it's like basic human rights. You
Yeah.
need to be able to sacrifice, or you need to actively sacrifice your comfort for the inclusion or for the betterment of another group that you are not a part of.
Wow. Fantastic. Yeah.
And we don't see, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be
No, no,
negative,
no.
but I wish we could see more allyship. I really do right now,
In the true sense of what you just described,
in
yes.
the true sense.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. So shifting, and thanks for sharing the this because I know it's interesting. I wouldn't have expected this month to be as heavy as it is given current situations, but it is a heavy topic and it is a heavy month we're in and a heavy year we're kicking off here with all this going on. So thank you for driving through that topic because I think one of the biggest things I've learned is, people also experience trauma when it comes to discussing different things, and I appreciate you taking the time and so much to be a part of this conversation. It's very meaningful to me. So thank
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
Um, Achieving very much in your career. I have to ask you because sometimes many people look and they see, the resume and the presence and what you've done, but were there any moments of doubt or setbacks along the way for you? How did you overcome some of those challenges and stay focused on your goals?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to tell you how many jobs I didn't get, Brian,
Well,
so
yeah,
many jobs I applied for and just like maybe I went all the way to the end of the recruitment process and was not selected.
yeah.
I'm a strong, strong believer though in rejection is redirection. I do believe that.
Rejection
I
is
believe
redirection. I love that.
every rejection is a redirection. I see it as if I dedicated, hours over weeks in order to apply for and prepare myself for your recruitment process and you don't pick me, it is setting me up for something that I just can't see yet. I'm best placed to receive that opportunity from exactly where I am. So I just gotta wait it out.
Yeah.
But like in terms of specific ones, I mean, uh, there were so many, so many.
No, I think just
Um,
the fact that you're sharing that with the audience is incredible because it's real right now too. And there's ghosting going on. You go on LinkedIn and it says within an hour, there's 1,000 other applicants. There's so many mind-boggling experiences even before you hit apply,
yeah,
right? So it's the real world. But I think the rejection is redirection is such a good takeaway from that. Thank you.
yeah,
I really appreciate that. How about mentorship? I know we've talked about this in our past, but it is important. But sharing for young professionals, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds, to try to find and cultivate that meaningful mentor relationship. Um, how have well, you've talked about the relationships already with your career advancement, but how do you think about maybe someone even from an underrepresented group to try to find that mentorship, maybe in multiple people as we know it comes, but what are your thoughts around that?
mentorship is so important. I can think right now of three key mentors who have maybe they've never reviewed a resume or they've never like tactically supported me, but they have guided me and they've um, opened my eyes to the ways that they think about the world. What people don't talk about in terms of being a Black woman who comes from an underrepresented community is that my parents never worked in corporate Canada. They never worked, like, my parents are from an agricultural community in Nigeria. They don't understand the
Mm,
politics that come with navigating in a kind of white collar professional
yep.
setting. So I was just I've always been so curious to better understand how am I being received so that I can increase my level of self-awareness. How is this coming across? Am I missing opportunities? Am I missing signs? And so I have deliberately sought out, for the most part, white men to help me do that. And in doing that,
Interesting.
I don't ask for them to be my mentor. I ask for a coffee. I ask for their email. I ask if they can uh run me through some of their experience and critical points in their
Hmm.
career. And that really helps me just understand other people's context when they go into major moments. I want to give you an example.
Sure.
I was preparing for I do a lot of panels and speaking engagements now, but I never used to before. And so one of my mentors, he's a former CEO. He was my CEO actually, and I just kept in touch with him. I presented to him and he just gave me a sense of you're rushing too much, you might want to explain that a little bit more. And just by me using him in that way,
Yep.
he was honored by it, and thus after my presentation I didn't even have to follow up with him, although I would have. He followed up with me and he's like, hey, how did that go? Like, you did such a great job, no matter even if you made a mistake here or there, nobody knew. You were already at 95% when you presented with me. And then the next
That's
time an
good.
opportunity comes up, he says, oh, patience would be great for that opportunity.
There you
Patience
go.
could do this because he's seen kind of what I was capable of. So he really leveraged his own networks and relationships to help me just because I put myself out there.
Wow, that's a great example.
Hmm.
Really interesting. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. It's awesome. So, I want to, because this is called, legacy. And so the series it is. I'm curious about what legacy do you hope to leave, and maybe what advice do you give to our listeners on how they can start building their own lasting impact, both professionally and personally? So it's a two-parter.
Oh, I think that I am a really small part of um, this journey of empathy that I think a lot
Mm,
of professionals are on right now. Um, we like to think that the world is a meritocracy and that people get what they deserve. And every single day, I am injecting more and more doubt into that fundamental belief. We don't always get what we deserve.
mm,
And um, if we can have some opportunities to uh, let more people around the table or give more people a shot, um, I think we will truly be getting the best of what's out there. And that's what I hope my legacy will be. I hope my legacy will be that we open up the doors and let more people try. Let
mm,
more people try for the interview. Let more people try for the promotion. Just let more people try instead of historically where we've been. Uh, d we've been a little bit more limited in who gets a shot. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for young people trying to think about building their own impact, what do you think they should focus on?
I hope this doesn't come across as a little disconnected, but I think every opportunity could be your shot. I want people to know that, like at the at the coffee store when you're, you know, chatting it up with the person beside you, that could be your shot. Like it is so serendipitous and random. Like
It's true.
everything matters and could be your opportunity to get in wherever in is. So, be a really kind human and treat people really, really well. And I promise, or I hope, I won't promise, but I really hope it will come back and work in your favor.
I love that. And the serendipitous part is so important. It
Yes,
really is true. It does happen, right?
yes, it really does.
So, oh my God, I can't. This has been, well, first of all, it's so incredible to catch up with you today. It feels like I just saw you yesterday, and I know we're going to keep up this conversation, but I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for sharing your incredible work you've been doing to advance equity, diversity, and inclusion. We need more patiences in the world, and your commitment to empowering historically unrepresented communities and driving impact is truly inspiring. Thank you, Patience, so much for being a part of this conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Good, good. So nice to see you again. So, for our listeners, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your network. You can find us now at coffeewithconvery.com and or on your favorite podcast platform. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram for updates and more inspiring content at Coffee with Convery at Instagram. Again, this is Coffee with Convery, where we show you that success isn't just about climbing the corporate ladder. Sometimes it's about building your own jungle gym. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon.